I had a lack of responsibility. It was at a time in my life where I'd take a meeting and I'd turn up late and I'd reek of whiskey and you know, I wouldn't get the job obviously, and then I'd blame my agent and you know, like there's no accountability for your own behavior. That feeling of somebody that you love saying, have you had a drink today at 10 in the morning? I knew it was going to ruin my day, but I would do it anyway.
Today's guest I have in what I consider my studio, but it's not my studio. It is our studio. Spencer Matthews, good to fucking see you, mate.
Mate, it's an honour to be here. Great show. Love it, by the way.
Thanks, mate.
And a
Thanks,
big fan of yours and delighted to be doing this podcast swap, I think.
It's going to be a podcast swap, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
So talk to me about Untapped. Like, what happened? How did you think about doing it?
The idea came to me in the Jordanian desert to kind of reframe some of my professional outlook, and I wanted to create a show about human potential, really, and what we're capable of as people. And Untapped, I suppose, is harnessing that and speaking to other people who've achieved interesting things, particularly in the world of sport and endurance. I find that there's a lot of crossover perhaps in what we're going to talk about. So addiction and alcoholism into endurance sport, perhaps not at the Olympic level, but just generally speaking, there's interesting crossover between my previous life and my current life. I've become very different.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to talk to you about that because obviously it's fair to say that the Spencer I'm speaking to today is very different to the Spencer I would have met 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, which is very interesting because I would say the same about me. Like, I mean, if you met me like 16 years ago, I was I don't even recognize that guy.
I was literally about to say, do you think you'd recognize yourself if you crossed yourself in the street? So like, I'm physically different as well. And we found this old photo of me about 10 years ago, and it's just like, it's hard. I showed my wife, and she didn't really, she kind of didn't recognize me immediately.
Yeah. I've got one on my phone as well.
Different look.
I'll show you. Yeah. So
Go for it. It's pretty full on. Like I think you'll be pretty shocked.
Okay, let me see yours. I mean, wow, that is a different fucking man. That is a very different man. Here's me.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Blows your mind, isn't it? Like, there's me.
It's the sadness in the eyes. It's the puffy face. It's the 3 bottles of wine that I had.
That's the thing that I see,
that
right? Can I just have a little look at these eyes, right? Because that is so telling. Look at your eyes now.
That's misery as well.
Look at that.
That's a pap shot of me filming Made in Chelsea in the street, changing outfit.
I've heard you talk about drinking, and I find it fascinating the way you talk about it because I think you speak to a massive demographic of drinkers out there, which is like I speak to a demographic of drinkers, which is an alcoholic or an addict, and I think you speak to a very specific portion of men and women in this country who do drink too much, but you wouldn't class yourself as an alcoholic.
I don't mind calling myself an alcoholic if that's helpful for people to digest. I think the word is quite stigmatized. Yeah. So, you think of an alcoholic, you think of a guy passed out on a park bench type thing. Yeah. And I was pretty high functioning until I wasn't. Yeah. And I don't know, there's high functioning like I am now, I suppose, and then there's high functioning, able to function when you're under the influence of alcohol.
Yeah, I think that's the difference, isn't it? It's functioning or high functioning.
Yeah, so I was functioning, not high functioning, perhaps, but I could get around. But it was at a time in my life where I'd take a meeting and I'd turn up late and I'd reek of whiskey and I wouldn't get the job, obviously, and then I'd blame my agent. And there's no accountability for your own behavior. Selfish behavior for me, right? Like for me, it's kind of like I wouldn't really care what effect my behavior and my actions were having on other people. That was a big, if I think about it now, that was a big thing, right? Like I would go out and I would drink and I would sleep late and I would have this turbulent effect on others perhaps that I wouldn't even notice or care about. That decision to take that first drink was mine. And I knew it was about a wrong decision. And I knew that it was gonna have a knock-on effect. And I knew it was gonna ruin my day. Yeah. But I would do it anyway. Yeah. And that's the shame and that's the lack of control. We had Ulrika Johnson in here who was, incredibly honest about her drinking and getting on her knees under the stairs with, drinking neat rum, out of the bottle and hiding stuff all over the house so that her son didn't know where she was drinking. And I'm familiar with that kind of behavior. Yeah. And it's, saying you're glad that it happened is probably not quite what I mean, but
I understand where you're coming from.
It's a good thing, I think, that it did get that bad.
Yeah.
So that you had something to really run from.
Yeah.
I know that feeling of like being deeply ashamed of like somebody that you love saying, have you had a drink today at 10 in the morning? And you just going,
and you're lying,
they're only asking because you obviously have, right? They're not pulling it out of nowhere, right? and it's kind of like, so you immediately start your day as like a liar, and they're only trying to help, And I had that for a while, and it's kind of like, then you start to think, what am I becoming here? And I always thought I had all this potential. And as a young man, I was so excited about the prospect of becoming a CEO or becoming someone who really had control of their life. And all of these dreams just feel like just total nonsense, right? When you're drunk in the morning and you're like, you're going through your phone messaging mates to see who's around, and of course no one is because they're all at work, right? And it's like, okay, I'm alone now as well.
And I think there's something about that, isn't there? There's something about moments of clarity when you can go, I am, because people say, you have so much untapped potential, right? And it's the moments of clarity when you realize that, when you're like, oh, I am not living up to 15% of what I am, because I'm drinking, and I find it fascinating. You said you went to AA. What was your experience there?
I didn't love it. I participated very strongly from the beginning. Like I thought being there, you may as well dive in.
Yeah.
My first, I have to say, was an eye-opener. This guy was keen for me to see that, right? And then when I called him afterwards, he was like, you see what you saw there could be you. And it doesn't matter that you're wealthy and have a fit wife and have lovely kids and your family are well-to-do. Like, if you carry on the way you're going, all of that can go, right? Your wife can leave you. She'll take the kids. Like, your family will disown you. Not in that way, but you know what I mean? They'll turn their back on you. They'll see you as a major problem. And you will end up just like that. And I was just like, it's hard to imagine that. But then, this guy is somebody with, the world at his feet, but it didn't always have it that way. And important to listen to his opinion. My experience with it was, I didn't love the "you are powerless over your actions" line, which AA saves millions of lives, is an incredible thing to go to if you're suffering. I simply don't. It doesn't sit well with me, this idea that I have no control. I feel like I do. Right? I feel like I chose to do that. Like, even now when I do drink, because I'm not completely sober. Like, my last drink was on Christmas Day.
What happens when you have that drink? Is it okay?
Yeah, it is. It's not very often that I would do that. So leading into Christmas,
there isn't the now I have to do all of it.
Not really. It would be a slippery slope. If I decided now, I'm going to allow myself to drink every Friday, that'd be a nightmare.
Right.
That wouldn't happen. Right. And it would just immediately, implode. I am able, if I want to enjoy a bottle of wine with my parents or something. I don't do it ever really, but I could do it. So I don't do it really because there's no real point to it, type thing.
I see what you mean.
It's kind of it's a strange one for me. If I'm really lucky in the sense that my wife doesn't love the taste of alcohol, doesn't drink a lot. She's a binge drinker. She wouldn't mind me saying, like, she'll.
That's exactly like my wife.
She'll decide that she's going to get drunk
off
one
her face
night.
twice a year.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a cab twice a year. That's
exactly.
it.
And my wife will go out with her girlfriends once every few months and get completely hammered, and then she'll be off booze for ages. So for me, it's pretty easy. We don't ever drink at home. We don't ever have wine with meals. Every so often I'll go to the pub with my friends. I don't ordinarily drink. I just finished Project 7, just before, on the 4th of December, which was a full Ironman in every continent.
And let's just break that down, right? Okay, because I don't want to gloss over this fucking thing, right? Okay, so when you say I just finished Project 7, Just explain what Project 7 is.
We were doing it for men's mental health, suicide prevention for James's Place, trying to raise some money and awareness for them. But I was also chasing 2 world records. So the fastest person to achieve a full Ironman in every continent. So 7 Ironmen. We did London, Arizona, Cape Town, Perth, Dubai, Rio, Antarctica in 21 days. Same team as the 30 marathons in the desert. And it was one of the most extraordinary experiences of my life. But just to bring it back to boozing quickly, like we had the odd beer during that, just for the camaraderie and the trying to humanize it a bit, make it less of a big daunting thing. We would enjoy. So
it became less kind of it was a pressure reliever in a way.
For me, drinking has a lot to do with responsibility. Right? Like if I have an Ironman the following day, I'm not going to go out all night and get drunk. I do have that level of control because I have parameters in place now that keep me busy. Like I have 3 children, right? I have a couple of businesses. I stay very fit and healthy. I'm more in tune now with like logic, sense, and data-driven insights around alcohol. I'm aware what alcohol does to my recovery and to my resting heart rate. I wear a Whoop. I'm different to how I used to be.
I completely understand. Before, right, when I heard that, because I knew you were going to come in, and I remembered seeing things of you in the past and thinking this guy's got a drinking problem.
Yeah.
And then I found out in the research, I was like, he drinks now. I was like, oh no, this is not going to be a good chat. Do you know what I mean? Because I was going to be like, no, this is not okay. But I completely understand. I feel like you are in a place now where you can do that, and but you are aware of the dangers and the possibility.
I'm more than aware of it.
Yeah,
which I think makes a big difference.
Yeah, I think that does make a massive difference.
I'm very conscious of it. In fact, it is a bit of a table tennis match in my mind because lots of me just thinks, well, you may as well just be sober. Like, what's the point in ever drinking? And I think were it to ever feel like a problem again, then I would probably just knock it on the head. It's not something I think about too much.
If this conversation is helping you at all, please tap follow. It really helps us keep these conversations going. Now, back to the episode.
I've had lots of therapy around drinking and trigger points, and I'm hyper conscious of all of it, right? And so like I spoke to this amazing guy who just had a really logical, clear view on it, and he said, it almost entirely depends on who you're with, where you are, and whether or not where it could go, right? So he was like, if you're out with your 2 best mates who are absolute sesh heads and you're going into Soho, maybe don't drink.
Yeah.
because he's like your tipping point is probably 0, right? He's like, if you have a drink, it's gonna go somewhere else, right? You're not gonna have 1 beer with these lads in Soho, right? So go out knowing that that's your tipping point, right? So just,
probably not the best
it's
idea.
your choice then to tip it or not tip it, right? And he said, perhaps if you're out with your parents at a lovely restaurant somewhere, and you're having a couple of bottles of wine as a table of 4, you might say your tipping point's like 4 glasses of wine, maybe. Till it becomes something else. I see. And he was like, because you're with your family and you're with your parents and you're not going to some nightclub or whatever, so it's like, he was like, but try and come to the conclusion before you go out. Just so that you know. And I'm never out, by the way. Like, Vogue and I call ourselves really boring. I personally don't think we're that boring, but we don't also have much of a social life. We'll go for dinner together every so often. But, we love being at home with the kids, play Monopoly with the kids, watch films with the kids. We love that, right? We're a little family. So it's not like a big problem that I have to contend with all the time.
You're not a city boy. I can survive that now.
Absolutely. Firstly, you couldn't. I worked at ICAP. That's, my initiation was to drink 10 pints of Guinness every day for the first month that I was there. 10 pints. 10 pints of Guinness. I gained like 2.5 stone and was just pissed for a month. Like 10 pints. It's a huge amount of liquid, right? Of Guinness. And and it was every single day I basically was not made, like I really enjoyed it, right? I had like 5 pints of Guinness at lunch and then 5 pints of Guinness after work, and I'd fall asleep on the tube on my way home and wake up in, Heathrow or wherever it was, at the end of the Central Line. I know Heathrow's not on the Central Line, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I can't remember the stop, obviously.
Yeah. Be honest. When did you last properly check in with your health? A lot of us walk around assuming we're fine, right? Without really knowing. And that uncertainty usually builds up in the background until a problem shows up. But on this show, we talk a lot about honesty and really facing what's going on, even when that's uncomfortable. And I think health can be the same. That's why I recently used Randox Health and their Everyman Health Assessment. It's designed to take all the guesswork out of your health, giving you clear insight into what's really going on inside your body. It looks at up to 150 different biomarkers. That's things like nutrition, hormones, heart, liver, and prostate health. They also offer a follow-up check 6 months later so you can track your results over time. There's no GP referrals needed, no long wait for appointments, just answers fast. You simply sign up online, visit one of their local clinics in the UK and Ireland, and your results come through to the Randox Health app within 2 hours of your sample reaching the lab. They also offer an Every Woman Health Assessment so it can benefit all of us. If you want to stop the guessing and start taking control of your health, visit randoxhealth.com and save 20% on all health checks with the code OTM20. What I find so interesting about this is I had a very similar experience with non-alcoholic drinks, right? So I got told when I first went into recovery, right, that non-alcoholics are for non-alcoholics. Like, you cannot go anywhere near this stuff. As soon as you have a sip, it will trigger you. You'll be straight down the fucking dealer, calling dealers. You'll be a mess, So I was like, fucking right, stay the fuck away from that shit. And anytime someone was drinking one in front of me, I'd physically feel an allergy to them. It was such a strong response to me, right? And then I haven't had a drink for 16 years, right?
Wow.
And I went to...
Congrats, by the way.
Thanks very much. And I was in Ireland, and everyone kept banging on about this zero Guinness. And I was like, do you know what? I think I don't know anything. Even if someone put a pint of beer down my throat, right? I don't know if there's anything in me anymore that wants to drink alcohol. So I was like, I feel like I'm in a safe enough place to try this, right? Yeah. So I did. And since then, I've been really enjoying them.
Yeah.
Like, I've been like, and I haven't been triggered.
Is that because of your social inclusion and feeling like you're back in the mix?
Kind of, yeah. Like I can, because I never really felt comfortable in a pub or a bar or an awards ceremony or anything like that, because I was just like fucking bored. Do you want another Diet Coke, Matt? No. Do you know what I mean? No, I don't want another one, but I've got to stay here for another 2 hours.
Would I have 4 Diet Cokes?
Exactly. I would never sit at home and drink a 2-litre bottle of Diet Coke. Do you know what I mean? No, I don't want another one. So I always miss that kind of thing, right? And it really did work in that scenario. Like, I was able to stay somewhere. I had a drink of something which was delicious, didn't make me feel in any way weird. And since then, I've been enjoying that process, which has been, honestly, a benefit to my life.
Yeah,
which has blown my fucking mind apart, because I was the most anti non-alcoholic beverage guy, because I was like, oh no, that's for non-alcoholics.
But what's incredible as well is that you've got yourself into the position where you don't feel the desire to drink, right? Which is lovely, and that's similar to me. I do feel the desire to drink sometimes. It's quite rare though. I have zero interest in drinking, really, which is completely the opposite to how I was for many years.
Talking about us talking about that picture from earlier on, like the lazier version of ourselves, I think the team have generated some AI images.
Wonderful.
Have you heard about this?
No, I've not.
We've asked AI to generate an image of us now from 10 years ago had we not stopped drinking. Oh my God, that's so extreme.
Jesus.
I mean, wow, that is.
It's like
hard to believe.
Crikey.
I'd be fatter.
I love as well, like,
that is quite obviously me as well. That's really savage, isn't it?
No disrespect to this gentleman, but I'm not sure my wife would be very happy.
No, I mean, my wife would definitely not still be around.
No.
This is what you would look like on the set.
Is this us?
This is us on set? Okay, let's have a look.
Talking about what it might be like to be sober.
Talking about ourselves to each other.
Yeah. I have thicker hair now than I did when I drank, which is bizarre.
Wow.
Right? It's odd, right? Like just little things that I notice that happen kind of over time. You know, when I spent 5 weeks at Everest Base Camp, you chuck off all your muscle because you don't need it because the air is thinner. So it's harder to operate and move. Therefore, your body goes, I don't want to be this heavy. So it just chucks muscle off. You just lose weight for no reason because the air's thin.
Yeah.
So like it will just go, you don't need big shoulders up here. You're not carrying anything. So it just chucks off. You know, and it responds. Same way that if you go to the gym 3 times a week and you lift heavy weights, you know, and you eat properly and you sleep well, you're going to grow, right? Your body responds to going, right,
stimulus.
He wants me to move these heavy things 3 times a week. So I'm going to, you know, get bigger to do it.
Great.
And this is very much just, you know, you want to poison me every day, I'm gonna age you and you know, send you to an early grave.
I mean, you mentioned Vogue a couple of times. I met your lovely wife, and she is like, I heard you on a different podcast describing her, and everything you said about her was spot on. I met her once previously before, but I met her properly after a press night of a play I was in. She does have this like an abundance of joy about her, which is like quite infectious.
Yeah.
You also said that the person I used to be wasn't good enough for my wife, which I thought was a fucking awesome thing for a man to say. And respect for that, because I feel very much the same. Yeah. Like I feel like I had to step up for the woman that I was with, you know. And so
your wife's incredible as well. Just
I'm reminded daily.
Yes,
so
am I.
Yeah.
I'm very much Vogue's husband a lot of the time. Actually,
absolutely.
And like people come up to me in the street, I'm like, oh, I wonder what they're going to recognise me for, and they're like, oh, we love your wife. I'm like,
yeah, absolutely.
Thanks. So do I.
I remember I always wind Emma about this, because when we first got PAP together, it was like Matt from Busted and Mystery Brunette, like that, and now it's Emma Willis's husband attends certain things. I'm like, okay, here we go. That's what's happened. Yeah.
Not to dwell on this point, but I once the agent that I had at the time Googled me so that we could try and find this article. That was being written about me. This is ages ago.
Yeah.
And on Google it said Spencer Matthews, Vogue Williams' husband. And I was just like, sorry, like as much as I love my wife, I'm not sure that can be. That's not my profession.
Exactly. I need to change my Wikipedia page.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, can you update this?
Yeah. But I mean, what did you mean by when you said the person I used to be wasn't good enough for my wife?
I think she deserves, you know, the best version of me.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, we're married, and I care enormously about her. You know, I look up to her in many ways. Her work ethic is incredible, and you know, when I was in my darkest time, shall we say, she was completely thriving. You know, traveling all over the world, making like really interesting documentaries for Irish TV, and she's always had this like deep burning desire to do more, right?
Yeah.
She works like, you know, like a crazy person. And she's the most amazing mother. She's very selfless. You know, I can learn a lot from her and continue to, and I'm constantly trying to, you know, I think we've arrived at a place where we feel, you know, on a similar level, but I certainly didn't, to be honest, in the first, you know, few years of dating. I kind of felt like I was a bit out of my depth. And you know, it's nice to feel a sense of equality in
absolutely
in the relationship. But no, I was very aware that if I carried on with my drinking and bad habits, that she would get bored and she would leave me. And I knew that. You know, she never made that a thing. She never sat me down and gave me some kind of ultimatum or anything like that. But I could feel it. I could feel that she was a bit disappointed in me. Yeah. There was one too many times where it was just like, what? Like again, you know, type of thing. And I think the light was shined on my boozing when she fell pregnant with our firstborn, Theodore. He made a big difference, I think, to our relationship, obviously, because I think what felt like joint fun became solo fun quite quickly, because obviously she stopped drinking completely, obviously. And I just didn't. I carried on, and it created this kind of divide in the relationship, but also made me realize, you know, maybe my drinking habits are not normal. And to begin with, I would say, like, darling, we're watching a film. Like, of course it's like normal to have a few glasses of red wine. Like, we're at home chilling. And she's like, you're drinking on your own? And I'd be like, yeah, because you're pregnant. Like, you know, and she'd be like, well, because I'm not drinking, should we just, you know, do you have to drink? And we'd have the odd chat like that. And you kind of, eventually you just begin to think, you know, why am I drinking on my own.
Yeah.
And you begin to question stuff perhaps for the first time. And I don't know.
Did it touch a nerve, that kind of thing, or were you quite responsive to it with an open mind? Because for me, I was always I was very defensive. Like
I was defensive initially. I think most people who either don't realize that they have a drinking problem or have realized they have a drinking problem and are deciding not to stop are pretty defensive ordinarily.
Yeah.
I would be more defensive with my own family. So my brother James would, like, we'd go out for a walk and, he'd be like, you look shit and you are drunk all the time. And I'd just be like, same as you. I'd just be like, God, just like relax. I'm not running a hedge fund. Like it's fine. I'm a TV star. I'm allowed to be drunk.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and whatever. I had a lack of responsibility, and I do think it certainly helps me to be busy, driven, have goals to hit. It's kind of one of the reasons that I like. Setting myself these ambitious targets. I don't really mind if they're not achieved, but working towards something ambitious for me is helpful. Keeps me, in my guardrails.
Yeah.
But no, for Vogue, I think she's an incredible woman. Anyone that's met my wife, immediately loves her. She's easily the favorite of the two of us. Yeah. And she has this thing about her that I'm pretty keen to keep.
This is going to sound really fucking weird when I'm going to say it out loud, but there shouldn't be competition within a marriage, right? There shouldn't be competition within a partnership, and there isn't competition in my marriage. Don't get me wrong before I say this, but in the beginning part of my relationship, I became very aware that I wasn't living up to her standard, right, and that I wasn't achieving anywhere near what she was achieving, and it hurt me. It did. It really kind of it affected me. And I was getting sober at the time, and I'd been sober for a while maybe, and I was still not really, and it drove me. Yeah. It really did. It made me go, do you know what? I need to step the fuck up because she is winning, and it's not winning against us two, but winning at life, and I'm not winning at life. Yeah, I was like, I need to start winning at life, and so I really had to step my game up.
I can completely get on board with that and agree with it. And it's funny, since putting a little bit of a different spin on our careers, so because at the time, or in those early stages, we had a TV show together, called The Spencer and Vogue Show. We had a podcast together called Spencer and Vogue. So that there of course is this sense of competition, who's funnier? We're constantly competing. We're having little jabs at each other on camera, and who comes out the best. Of course, it's just a natural thing. Like in any scene, ultimately it's you're entertaining, so who's more entertaining? When we stopped all that, and I went to pursue this in a bit of a different direction, into performance and sport, and she wants to be a TV presenter. I've never wanted to be a TV presenter. So having those differences in what we do has been really helpful, because now when she lands something, I'm really proud of her. And whereas when we were together and doing similar stuff,
life with my family, work, and everything else can get a bit chaotic. But staying on top of my health is one thing I know that I can control. For me, it's about keeping it simple and consistent. That's where Vitals by Heights comes in. When I look at my diary, it's packed, right? With kids, the podcast, shows, everything else. It's easy to let my health slip down the priority list. But I've learned that staying consistent with the basics, like my daily health routine, keeps me going through the chaos. 2 small capsules each morning give me everything I need to stay energized, focused, and on top of my game. No complicated routines, no hassle. I need simplicity. And Vitals takes the guesswork out of maintaining my energy and performance. Whether heading for a full day's worth of On The Mend records or chasing after the kids, I know I've got the right fuel to keep up. If you want to make health simple and consistent like I have, click the link in our description and use code OTM20 to get 20% off your first month.
She would get something that I was potentially interested in. It's a bit like, you're happy for your partner, obviously, but it's also a bit of a kick in the teeth, because it's kind of like, well, why didn't I get it? And and that creates... not issues, obviously, but there is a slight, competition is probably a good word for it. If you're in a competitive scenario with your partner, it's it can be a bit grating, should we say? And sometimes you would get the thing that she wanted, and all of a sudden it's kind of it does create that bristliness, I suppose, even though at the end of the day we're very happy for each other. But now there's none of that, right? We don't really work together, although we would, consider stuff together. But what I want and what she wants and what I'm building and what she's building is quite different. So we can just fully support each other without it feeling competitive.
I think that's what happens with the family, right? It's like when family came into the mix, it became a different thing. Yeah. It became like, I don't know, in my life she was the captain of the ship, and I was the first mate. Yeah. And then suddenly it became like we can both captain this ship.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm at 70%, you're at 30, sometimes you're at 60, I'm at 40, like whatever that is, but we can both kind of captain and move this ship, which is a much more healthy place to be in.
Much nicer. I used to say to her, because she's quite, she's an amazing mum, as I said, and so she has kind of a lot of control over the kids' schedules and stuff like that, and I kind of wouldn't get in the way with that because she likes understanding that. So she would be the CEO of the house, and I'll be her MD type thing. I would say listen, wherever you need help, ask for it. I'll give it to you straight away. But I won't steer this side of things because I know that you like to be across it. So if I were to steer it, you'd want a say in it. So you may as well steer that. And I'll support. And
I'll steer this part.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, it's great. No, I feel very fortunate to be married to her, and I'm very lucky to have the marriage that I do have. Looking at that now, being together 9 years. No, it's great. It's everything I've ever wanted, really.
Yeah. I mean, going back to the challenges that you put yourself in, right? I mean, how does she feel about these?
The first major one was the 30 marathons in 30 days, and her initial opinion was that it would kill me, and she meant that. We were in Scotland, enjoying some time together, and I mentioned it to her. I think she thought I was joking initially, and then I came back to it a couple of days later, and she was surprised to hear that I was serious. She thought it would kill me. I assured her it wouldn't, and that we'd control everything that we could control, and diminish the risk wherever possible, and hire a great team. And the closest we came to danger out there was a snake that we narrowly avoided. But outside of that, you're in the middle of nowhere, but you're on foot. You're not. If something feels wrong, stop. Air-conditioned vehicles. Doctor on site. Everything.
Right.
So kind of, it's actually okay if you can compare and contrast that to climbing Everest, or even climbing Everest now is very commercial. It's there and it's available to people nowadays. But at 8,000 plus meters, something goes pear-shaped or wrong, you're in serious trouble, right? Like there's often no ways of fixing that. Whereas the stuff that I do is lower risk. And with Project 7, similar thing. I think the success of the 30 marathons gave her the confidence that we kind of knew what we were getting ourselves into for Project 7. I think now when I say to her, I've got this, I understand it. She listens. She's always listened. But how does she feel about it? I think because of the charitable element to both things, she emphatically is on board with it. I think if I was just doing it for my own personal gain, it would be a different conversation, because obviously they're quite time-consuming projects. But we've raised just under £1 million for some great causes. Men's mental health and James's Place. They're an amazing charity. They're incredibly kind in reminding us, what a significant project this was for them. We're delighted that people who are suffering from suicidal thoughts, who are in crisis, have found James's Place because of Project 7, and their lives have been saved as a result of that. So obviously Vogue looks at that and thinks, this may be time consuming, but it is an incredibly positive thing to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. Which is handy.
Yeah.
If
I was just to say, listen, me and the boys are off to,
absolutely. We're going to play 70 golf courses.
In 70 days.
It's a bit of a different chat. That's a good idea. I'm going to start that one. on the mend, we like something which has been massively beneficial to me is a gratitude list. I don't know if you've ever explored this, but like thinking of, I can wake up on the wrong side of the bed and be a bit of a moody bastard, right? And I found just waking up and doing a gratitude list was a massive thing for me, especially in early recovery. So I write down 3 things I'm grateful for today. So I'm going to ask you, like, where you are in your life right now for 3 things that you feel grateful for.
My children's health.
Yeah,
I think, you know, I'm really delighted to be their father. Like, you know, I think they are, obviously most people like their own children, but you know, I really, really love my kids. They're very special little characters, and we have a wonderful relationship. And, you know, I think sometimes when people ask me about success and what success means to me, I like to think that being in their life for their whole life and being a friend to them, like being someone they can turn to, even as teenagers, is a huge goal for me. Like, I want to be that dad that my daughter can call if something goes wrong, or I want to be that dad that Theodore or Otto can turn to and say, you know, I'm not feeling great about this, you know, what should I do? That's really important. You know, I'm really lucky to have an incredible relationship with my mum and dad. Chat to them every day, both of them, you know, see them wherever I can, tell them how much I love them all the time, you know, and that I'm really grateful for that. I think, you know, it's so many people don't have that, right? I'm grateful for my progress and my health. You know, I think it's really nice in life when you strive for something and you feel rewarded. You know, feelings of pride. I am proud of myself, don't mind saying it. I think that was a massive thing for me, you know, replacing feelings of hatred's too strong a word, but, you know, just regret and shame with pride. Like, I'll always remember crossing the finish line in Jordan, and obviously had it to a slightly different degree in Project 7 because I'd already tasted it. But in Jordan, that feeling of completing that mammoth task that literally everyone thought I was going to fail in was this incredible moment for me of immense pride. Yeah. And I loved it. I think it's a really important thing to, you know, strive for things that are outside of your comfort zone and just try and achieve them even if you fail. At the end of the day, you've tried, right? And it's great. So happy for that. The life that I've been given as well, I suppose. I've never done a gratitude list before, by the way, so they should reel off a bit easier. But I like it.
This is all really good.
But the life that I've been given, you know, the family that I have, I'm very lucky to have the parents and the family that I have, you know, and I'm aware of my privilege, and I'm aware of, you know, how I've come to be who I am, and, you know, constantly growing and evolving. But I'm really thankful to them, you know, for the in my opinion quite good job that they've done raising me. You know, I'm very at peace and happy with who I am, and I think that's a lovely thing to have. You know, I have some friends who, unfortunately, at this stage in their life, they look at themselves in the mirror, they don't like what they see, they don't feel fulfilled, and you know, they have their own demons, which of course we have both suffered. We know how that feels, right? To look at yourself in the mirror and to really not like what you see. I'm very happy with my life and who I am. So it's a lovely platform on which to build. Yeah. You know, it's quite hard to build when you don't have a firm base.
You can't polish a turd.
No.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Still shit.
Still shit. Dude, that was awesome.
Thank you.
I've never heard anyone say like that really fucking meant something to me. That I'm proud to be their dad. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's so awesome to fucking feel that. You know, I feel exactly the same. Yeah. That's such an awesome way of putting it. Like, I'm really proud of these kids, but I'm proud that I'm their dad. That's fucking awesome.
I hope that we just always have what we have now, you know, and I know that obviously it will change with time, and I know there'll be times when they hate their parents, and, you know, obviously.
How old are they?
7, 5 and 3. So I'm not kind of, you know, dreaming for the perfect scenario.
Like, I got told, like, my daughter's 16, right? And I always got told, because she was a great kid. She was a great kid. Like, all my kids are great. Like, I've got a 16-year-old, a 14-year-old, a 9-year-old, right? And they're good kids, right? And I got told by everyone, oh, just wait until they're teenagers. Yeah, just wait. I waited, and everything's great.
It's exactly that, like, I very, very nearly put that in my answer, because that's all I hear. Oh yeah, it's great now. You wait till they're older. It's like,
I've waited, and it's still fucking great.
Well, that's great to hear. Because no, honestly,
it's like, different. It's different, and it's challenging. You know, but like, when there were 2, it was challenging. Yeah, you know, but like, it's different, but it's still fucking awesome.
It's not a concern of mine, because I think the way we bring them up is, I think we do a pretty good job as parents. And, the relationship I have with my son and, like, it's interesting. Like, for me, Gigi was more of a kind of daddy's, child than the other two.
Yeah.
And so we've always had this, like, immense, like, loving, cuddly bonds where like she'll come to me if she is sad, and when she gets into bed, she'll jump on me, and we'll cuddle for an hour before we have to wake up. And the boys are a little bit less tactile, and they're more boy-y than her. But if we can always have a form of that, if we can always have a version of what we have now for the rest of our time on Earth, then that's winning,
Yeah. On this show, we have a segment called Music to Mend By, but I thought maybe we could change that a little bit. As you just said, music to run by. I thought that'd be quite an interesting thing. So I'm going to ask you for one song that resonates with your inner child. So if you were running and you wanted something to spur you on that was going to remind you of being a kid, what would that song be?
The first thing that's come to my head is The Offspring.
Great.
Yeah.
I saw them at Download a couple of years ago, and they were the best thing I've ever seen live.
The Offspring,
So
like, I'm a bit of a sucker for like American rock and roll.
Yeah.
So like because obviously I mostly listen to music when I'm walking to places, and I like to walk fast, or I'm running, right?
Yeah.
So I listen to music every day because I run every day.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, rock and roll is a good thing to run to because it's vibey and
Absolutely.
energetic.
It's got the right tempo.
So I love kind of Fall Out Boy and Sum 41 and Offspring and like kind of old school American rock and roll.
Yeah.
Favorite bands and who I used to listen to a lot growing up, who I just will always love. And if I could only ever listen to one band for the rest of my life, would be the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Right, great.
I love them.
Amazing. And I'm going to ask you for another one which resonates with where you are right now.
I'm really loving Boulevard of Broken Dreams.
Right, great. Green Day.
Like, I love that. I love that song.
That's a good. That feels like a good song to run to.
Great tune. I'm musing a lot at the moment.
Are you?
Muse, yeah,
great.
Yeah. Which is I put Muse down for like 20 years.
Right, amazing. Yeah.
And then I suddenly was like, Muse are a good band.
Oh my God, Time Is Running Out is a banger.
Yeah. So I was listening to Muse. It's great to run to again. Evanescence. Love Evanescence.
Great.
Yeah. So my music choices could be considered, not cool by some, but
I'm a fan of everything you've just mentioned. And what was the most upsetting thing to me was that obviously everything that I listen to gets stored on Apple and whatever, and it suggested a playlist to me the other day which is called Dad Rock. I was like, fucking kill me now. Kill me now. And I went on the playlist and I was like, I love everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything.
Exactly. Yeah. I love it when, because you're listening to loads of similar stuff, it does just pitch up like 90s rock and roll.
Exactly.
And you're like, yep, love it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Bang. Yeah, love it. Mate, it's been a pleasure.
Thanks so much. I've loved it as well. Thank you.
And I can't wait to go on yours.
I can't wait
to have you. I don't know what the fuck I'm going to talk about, but we'll see.
Booze, probably.
Dude, thank you,
Cheers, mate.
Thanks, mate. As always, if you or someone you know is struggling, you're not alone. We've listed some very helpful resources in the show notes. We'll see you next week. Thanks very much. If you're still with us after the episode, you might as well follow the podcast. Hit follow. We'll see you next time.